Welcome, football fans, to another episode of Throwback Thursday. We're cruising through our first season and have made it to episode number 24. Now let's find out where and when the Throwback Time Machine will take us today. Today's episode will be team number 23 for the season, so check out the description below for a list of all the previous episodes and teams we've covered so far. Now without further ado, let's fire up the Wayback Machine. Okay, I've got a big blue button here that says engage on it. Okay, now the computer is running through thousands of calculations as it searches for the perfect team for us to focus on this week. There are almost 1,600 teams since the merger that it can choose from, and when it's done, it's going to display the team logo, the team name, and the specific year that we'll focus on for this week. And it looks like the 1987 St. Louis Cardinals will be our focus team of the week. Let's do a little bit of research and see what interesting details we might be able to dig up. Okay, let's get into it. The 1987 St. Louis Cardinals, the gateway to the West. Moonstruck and Dirty Dancing were sweeping the nation. Fatal Attraction was the thriller of the year. Aretha Franklin was voted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Michael Jackson dropped his next album titled Bad. Guns N' Roses released their debut album Appetite for Destruction. Nintendo released their boxing game Punch-Out and Final Fantasy. The short skirt became popular again. Men sported denim jackets. The Simpsons made their first appearance on The Tracy Ullman Show. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles debuted. And in the world of sports, Al Unser Sr. became the oldest person to win the Indianapolis 500. Michael Jordan was starting to make waves in the NBA. Okay, let's get into it. Now, the 1987 St. Louis Cardinals were coached by Gene Stallings. Stallings was a defensive back coach for the Cowboys from 1972 until 1985, and then became the head coach of the Cardinals in '86. Stallings' tenure started out with a 4-11 campaign and gave himself plenty of room to improve upon. Stallings would lean on Pro Bowl quarterback Neil Lomax and standout wide receiver J.T. Smith in 1987, and would ultimately guide the team to a 7-8 record. 1987 would also mark the last season for the Cardinals in St. Louis, as the team was moved to Phoenix, Arizona the following season. Quarterback Neil Lomax started 12 games for the Cardinals in 1987, and he made the Pro Bowl for the second time in his career. The Cardinals' passing offense ranked 6th overall in passing yards. Lomax threw for 3,387 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Lomax led the league in passing yards and attempts, 463, and completions, 275. Lomax was backed up by a pair of players lasting only 1 year in the league in Sean Halloran and Sammy Garza. Halloran ended up starting weeks 4 and 5 and gave way to Garza starting week 6. Both backup quarterbacks combined to contribute 446 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions for the season. The Cardinals' rushing offense ranked 15th overall in rushing yards and was led by 7-year veteran running back Stump Mitchell. Mitchell ran for 781 yards on the ground, scoring 3 touchdowns, compiling a 3.8 yards per rush average, and then he added another 397 receiving yards. Fullback Earl Farrell was the second leading rusher on the team, rushing for 512 yards and 7 touchdowns. Undrafted rookie Derek McAdoo was the third leading rusher on the team, putting up 230 yards and scoring 3 touchdowns. Standout wide receivers J.T. Smith and Roy Green led the receiving corps with 1,117 yards and 731 yards respectively. Smith added 8 touchdowns, while Green found the end zone 4 times. Tight end Robert Awalt was the team's third leading receiver with 526 yards and 6 touchdowns. The 1987 Cardinals defense ranked 19th overall for rushing yards allowed and 25th overall for passing yards allowed. Third-year pro Freddie Joe Nunn led the attack and sacked opposing quarterbacks 11 times. Second on the team in sacks was Curtis Greer with 6. Defensive back Travis Curtis was the team's ball hawk, pulling down 5 interceptions and had 65 return yards. Special teamer Vi Sikahema made the Pro Bowl and was a first-team All-Pro in 1987, leading the league in punt returns with 44 and punt return yards with 550, and also returned a punt for a touchdown. The Cardinals' 1987 draft class produced little fanfare with just a handful of the 15 players selected that would play for more than 5 years in the league or even be productive. First-round pick and quarterback Kelly Stouffer played 4 years in the league and would never suit up for the Cardinals. His production came as a Seahawk as he threw for 2,333 career yards and 7 touchdowns. Safety Tim McDonald was their biggest hit of the draft in 1987. It took him a year to crack the starting lineup, but once he did, he never looked back. He started 12 out of the 13 seasons he's played in the NFL, playing his first 6 years for the Cardinals before moving on and finishing his career with the 49ers. McDonald made the Pro Bowl 6 times in his career. Tight end Robert Awalt was selected in the 3rd round and played 7 years in the league for 3 different teams. He started 44 of the 95 games in which he appeared and compiled 1,583 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. 1987 was definitely in my wheelhouse of exposure to the NFL as a kid growing up. I always thought Neil Lomax was a good quarterback, and it's just a shame that his career was cut short by that hip injury. Stump Mitchell was fun to watch, and I liked his name, Stump. Freddie Joe Nunn is another guy I rooted for, but never seemed to get his due, being stuck on a perennially bad team. The Cardinals never had a winning season during his tenure from 1985 to 1993. Hey, thanks for joining me today for another episode of Throwback Thursday. I hope you enjoyed the video, because I know I did. Now don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week.